around you.
Yogyakarta. The soul of Java. The cultural richness kept maintained, bearing unpretentious souls, creating young intellectuals who are ready for the world. Hugh, born Muhammadiyah Association, a progressive Islamic organization, engages in various fields of life. One of them is education. By the idea of Professor Dr. Kahar Muzakir on the 1st of March 1981, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta presents to enrich young intellectuals' competence, actualizing Muslim scholars who are noble, competent, confident, able to develop science and technology, useful for the nation and world developments.
Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is a leading accounting department in Indonesia. This department has got A accreditation since 2001. Only a few accounting departments can get this accreditation status. There are many achievements that students have received. Winner in a number of capital market competition, winner in scientific competition, and recently winner of National Enterprise Resource Planning 2018 competition. That 5 students of this department will represent Indonesia to compete in Singapore. Therefore, this department has produced competitive alumni that they can compete in job market while maintaining Islamic values. I believe by joining Accounting UMA, you have made a very good decision to be a successful person in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.
Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta was established in 1992. Our mission is to produce Bachelor of Accounting who master in science and technology, have a good characters, integrity, and global insight. To support the graduate competence, we provide extra services such as training and certification, like Islamic banking training, taxation training, internal audit training, external audit training, and most management training. Meanwhile, we also provide certification such as Enterprise Resource Planning from Monsoon SIM and Associate Certified Public Accountant from Indonesian Institute of Public Accountant. To face the business changes in the era of Industry 4.0, the curriculum of Accounting Department focuses on ability to utilize information technology and ability to take strategic decisions. We expect that Accounting Department can keep confident in producing human resources who are excellent, Islamic, and have a global insight.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has set up a new tagline of Young and Global. In order to speed up this mission, the Department of Accounting proposed to establish International Program of Accounting Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. This program is expected to be the driving force for continuous improvement in providing better services and facilities in education system at the accounting department. the increasing needs of graduates with good qualification and international recognition drive the accounting department to focus on developing main competencies of technology information, international financial reporting standards, public sector, and Islamic accounting. Under the professional management towards the world-class quality with a vision to become a global-oriented accounting department by focusing on strengthening faith and piety to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, mastering science and technology of accounting, and being the center of excellence which is beneficial for people. With the missions of being actively involved in the nation's development process, enlightenment of people through 3 pillars of higher education, and creating young, noble, and global accountants. Since 2005, Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has been accredited A. The establishment of academic atmosphere and the development of competitive character are improved continuously. As a result, the public trust to the accounting department is even higher, which could be seen from the large number of applicants. Learning in the accounting department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is supported with good quality of supporting facilities, such as library, where students can access the relevant and appropriate references, such as e-journal and e-book. Administration room, where students get administrative services, and Wi-Fi area, laboratory for practicum, in Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan Mosque. Accounting departments also directly supervises Accounting Students Association, which can serve as a facility for students to develop soft skills in the fields of organization and self-development. Besides supported by qualified facilities, academic atmosphere is also established by the certified lecturers academically and practically, who are actively involved in academic and professional activities nationally or internationally. As an effort to renew the accounting science ode. The learning process also refers to the competency-based curriculum, referring to Indonesian National Qualification Framework through learning method approaches of centered learning, discussion, presentation, and problem solving. Accounting department also tries to create prospective accountants who are professional, responsive, confident, creative, trusted, and innovative on each graduate student of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Various efforts carried out by the Accounting Department, such as providing supporting facilities and establishing cooperation with domestic and foreign agencies, are parts of the process to create a conducive academic atmosphere and increase the achievement of academic community of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Being with realization that intelligence and people's well-being are the shared responsibilities. Thus, providing the best for the next generation is one responsibility that should be implemented to become excellent and Islamic in the world of accounting nationally and internationally. Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, excellent and Islamic. Yogyakarta. The soul of Java. The cultural richness kept maintained, bearing unpretentious souls, creating young intellectuals who are ready for the world. HUE, born Muhammadiyah Association, a progressive Islamic organization, engages in various fields of life. One of them is education. By the idea of Professor Dr. Kahar Muzakir on the 1st of March 1981, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta presents to enrich young intellectuals' competence, actualizing Muslim scholars who are noble, competent, confident, able to develop science and technology, useful for the nation and world developments.
Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is a leading accounting department in Indonesia. This department has got A accreditation since 2005, when only a few accounting departments can get this accreditation status. There are many achievements that students have received. Winner in a number of capital market competition, winner in scientific competition, and recently winner of National Enterprise Resource Planning 2018 competition. That 5 students of this department will represent Indonesia to compete in Singapore. Therefore, this department has produced competitive alumni that they can compete in job market while maintaining Islamic values. I believe by joining Accounting UMA, you have made a very good decision to be a successful person in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.
Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta was established in 1992. Our mission is to produce Bachelor of Accounting who master in science and technology, have a good characters, integrity, and global insight. To support the graduate competence, we provide extra services such as training and certification, like Islamic banking training, taxation training, internal audit training, external audit training, and most management training. Meanwhile, we also provide certification such as Enterprise Resource Planning from Monsoon SIM and Associate Certified Public Accountant from Indonesian Institute of Public Accountant. To face the business changes in the era of Industry 4.0, the curriculum of Accounting Department focuses on ability to utilize information technology and ability to take strategic decisions. We expect that Accounting Department can keep contribution in producing human resources who are excellent, Islamic, and have a global insight.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has set up a new tagline of Young and Global. In order to speed up this mission, the Department of Accounting proposed to establish International Program of Accounting Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. This program is expected to be the driving force for continuous improvement in providing better services and facilities in education system at the Accounting Department. The increasing needs of graduates with good qualification and international recognition drive the Accounting Department to focus on developing main competencies of technology information, international financial reporting standards, public sector, and Islamic accounting. Under the professional management towards the world-class quality with a vision to become a global-oriented accounting department by focusing on strengthening faith and piety to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, mastering science and technology of accounting, and being the center of excellence, which is beneficial for people. With the missions of being actively involved in the nation's development process, enlightenment of people through 3 pillars of higher education, in creating young, noble, and global accountants. Since 2005, Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has been accredited A. The establishment of academic atmosphere and the development of competitive character are improved continuously. As a result, the public trust to the accounting department is even higher, which could be seen from the large number of applicants. Learning in the accounting department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is supported with good quality of supporting facilities, such as library, where students can access the relevant and appropriate references, such as e-journal and e-book. Administration room, where students get administrative services, and Wi-Fi area, laboratory for practicum. In Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan Mosque. Accounting departments also directly supervises Accounting Students Association, which can serve as a facility for students to develop soft skills in the fields of organization and self-development. Besides supported by qualified facilities, academic atmosphere is also established by the certified lecturers academically and practically, who are actively involved in academic and professional activities nationally or internationally, as an effort to renew the accounting science ode. The learning process also refers to the competency-based curriculum, referring to Indonesian National Qualification Framework, through learning method approaches of centered learning, discussion, presentation, and problem solving. Accounting department also tries to create prospective accountants who are professional, responsive, confident, creative, trusted, and innovative on each graduate student of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Various efforts carried out by Accounting Department, such as providing supporting facilities and establishing cooperation with domestic and foreign agencies, are parts of the process to create a conducive academic atmosphere and increase the achievement of academic community of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Being with realization that intelligence and people's well-being are the shared responsibilities. Thus, providing the best for the next generation is one responsibility that should be implemented to become excellent and Islamic in the world of accounting nationally and internationally. Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, excellent and Islamic. Yogyakarta. The soul of Java. The cultural richness kept maintained, bearing unpretentious souls, creating young intellectuals who are ready for the world. Hugh, born Muhammadiyah Association, a progressive Islamic organization, engages in various fields of life. One of them is education. By the idea of Professor Dr. Kahar Muzakir on the 1st of March 1981, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta presents to enrich young intellectuals' competence, actualizing Muslim scholars who are noble, competent, confident, able to develop science and technology useful for the nation and world developments.
Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is a leading accounting department in Indonesia. This department has got A accreditation since 2005, when only a few accounting departments can get this accreditation status. There are many achievements that students have received. Winner in a number of capital market competition, winner in scientific competition, and recently winner of National Enterprise Resource Planning 2018 competition. That 5 students of this department will represent Indonesia to compete in Singapore. Therefore, this department has produced competitive alumni that they can compete in job market while maintaining Islamic values. I believe by joining Accounting UMA, you have made a very good decision to be a successful person in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.
Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta was established in 1992. Our mission is to produce Bachelor of Accounting who master in science and technology, have a good characters, integrity, and global insight. To support the graduate competence, we provide extra services such as training and certification, like Islamic banking training, taxation training, internal audit training, external audit training, and most managing training. Meanwhile, we also provide certification such as Enterprise Resource Planning from Monsoon SIM and Associate Certified Public Accountant from Indonesian Institute of Public Accountant. To face the business changes in the era of Industry 4.0, the curriculum of Accounting Department focuses on ability to utilize information technology and ability to take strategic decisions. We expect that Accounting Department can keep contribution in producing human resources who are excellent, Islamic, and have a global insight.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has set up a new tagline of Young and Global. In order to speed up this mission, the Department of Accounting proposed to establish an international program of accounting Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. This program is expected to be the driving force for continuous improvement in providing better services and facilities in education system at the accounting department. The increasing needs of graduates with good qualification and international recognition drive the accounting department to focus on developing main competencies of technology information, international financial reporting standards, public sector, and Islamic accounting. Under the professional management towards the world-class quality with a vision to become a global-oriented accounting department by focusing on strengthening faith and piety to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, mastering science and technology of accounting, and being the center of excellence which is beneficial for people. With the missions of being actively involved in the nation's development process, enlightenment of people through 3 pillars of higher education, and creating young, noble, and global accountants. Since 2005, Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has been accredited A. The establishment of academic atmosphere and the development of competitive character are improved continuously. As a result, the public trust to the accounting department is even higher, which could be seen from the large number of applicants. Learning in the accounting department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is supported with good quality of supporting facilities, such as library, where students can access the relevant and appropriate references, such as e-journal and e-book. Administration room, where students get administrative services, and Wi-Fi area, laboratory for practicum, and Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan Mosque. Accounting Department also directly supervises Accounting Students Association, which can serve as a facility for students to develop soft skills in the fields of organization and self-development. Besides supported by qualified facilities, academic atmosphere is also established by the certified lecturers academically and practically. who are actively involved in academic and professional activities nationally or internationally. As an effort to renew the accounting science ode. The learning process also refers to the competency-based curriculum, referring to Indonesian National Qualification Framework through learning method approaches of centered learning, discussion, presentation, and problem solving. Accounting department also tries to create prospective accountants who are professional, responsive, confident, creative, trusted, and innovative on each graduate student of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Various efforts carried out by Accounting Department, such as providing supporting facilities and establishing cooperation with domestic and foreign agencies, are parts of the process to create a conducive academic atmosphere and increase the achievement of academic community of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Being with realization that intelligence and people's well-being are the shared responsibilities. Thus, providing the best for the next generation is one responsibility that should be implemented to become excellent and Islamic in the world of accounting nationally and internationally. Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, excellent and Islamic. Yogyakarta. The soul of Java. The cultural richness kept maintained, bearing unpretentious souls, creating young intellectuals who are ready for the world. Here, born Muhammadiyah Association, a progressive Islamic organization, engages in various fields of life. One of them is education. By the idea of Professor Dr. Kahar Muzakir on the 1st of March 1981, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta presents to enrich young intellectuals' competence, actualizing Muslim scholars who are noble, competent, confident, able to develop science and technology, useful for the nation and world developments.
Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is a leading accounting department in Indonesia. This department has got A accreditation since 2005, when only a few accounting departments can get this accreditation status. There are many achievements that students have received. Winner in a number of capital market competition, winner in scientific competition, and recently winner of National Enterprise Resource Planning 2018 competition. That 5 students of this department will represent Indonesia to compete in Singapore. Therefore, this department has produced competitive alumni that they can compete in job market while maintaining Islamic values. I believe by joining Accounting UMA, you have made a very good decision to be a successful person in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.
Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta was established in 1992. Our mission is to produce Bachelor of Accounting who master in science and technology, have a good characters, integrity, and global insight. To support the graduate competence, we provide extra services such as training and certification, like Islamic banking training, taxation training, internal audit training, external audit training, and most managing training. Meanwhile, we also provide certification such as Enterprise Resource Planning from Munsulship and Associate Certified Public Accountant from Indonesian Institute of Public Accountant. To face the business changes in the era of Industry 4.0, the curriculum of Accounting Department focus on ability to utilize information technology and ability to take strategic decisions. We expect that Accounting Department can keep contribution in producing human resources who are excellent, Islamic, and have a global insight.
Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has set up a new tagline of Young and Global. In order to speed up this mission, the Department of Accounting proposed to establish International Program of Accounting Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. This program is expected to be the driving force for continuous improvement in providing better services and facilities in education system at the accounting department. The increasing needs of graduates with good qualification and international accounting department, international financial reporting standards, public sector, and Islamic accounting. Under the professional management towards the world-class quality, with a vision to become a global-oriented accounting department by focusing on strengthening faith and piety to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, mastering science and technology of accounting, and being the center of excellence, which is beneficial for people. With the missions of being actively involved in the nation's development process, enlightenment of people through 3 pillars of higher education, and creating young, noble, and global accountants. Since 2005, Accounting Department Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has been accredited A. The establishment of academic atmosphere and the development of competitive character are improved continuously. As a result, the public trust to the accounting department is even higher, which could be seen from the large number of applicants. Learning in the accounting department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is supported with good quality of supporting facilities, such as library, where students can access the relevant and appropriate references, such as e-journal and e-book. Administration room, where students get administrative services, and Wi-Fi area, laboratory for practicum, in Kiai Haji Ahmad Dahlan Mosque. Accounting departments also directly supervises Accounting Students Association, which can serve as a facility for students to develop soft skills in the fields of organization and self-development. Besides supported by qualified facilities, academic atmosphere is also established by the certified lecturers academically and practically, who are actively involved in academic and professional activities nationally or internationally, as an effort to renew the accounting science owed. The learning process also refers to the competency-based curriculum, referring to Indonesian National Qualification Framework, through learning method approaches of centered learning, discussion, presentation, and problem solving. Accounting department also tries to create prospective accountants who are professional, responsive, confident, creative, trusted, and innovative on each graduate student of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Various efforts carried out by Accounting Department, such as providing supporting facilities and establishing cooperation with domestic and foreign agencies, are parts of the process to create a conducive academic atmosphere and increase the achievement of academic community of Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Being with realization that intelligence and people's well-being are the shared responsibilities. Thus, Providing the best for the next generation is one responsibility that should be implemented to become excellent and Islamic in the world of accounting nationally and internationally. Accounting Department of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, excellent and Islamic.
Good morning, Bu Arum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, Pak Suryo.
Everything
Good
okay?
morning.
Everything prepared?
Yep, I hope so.
Yes. Good.
Are you preparing for the question?
The IPAcc administrator to preparing the reservoir for question and answer.
Yeah, that's good idea, I think. But last time when we have a like general lecture like this as well, there's many students ask the question. That's very good until the time is finished.
Okay.
Yeah, but because of the topic is accounting theory, yeah. But I don't know about this topic because we don't have any audit Sharia.
Okay. We hope that so many students can give the question for the professor.
Yeah, yeah. Good idea.
How Bu Arum can connect to Ibu Nur?
One of our student is have a student exchange in International Islamic University of Malaysia. So I'll ask them to mention the one of the lecturer, and then we try to connect her. Yeah.
I think it's okay. Very good trial for internationalizations.
Yeah.
Our campus of our department. Okay, but this is the, I think.
Baik, Pak.
Okay. This topic is quite.
Pendamping kok, Bu? Berarti itu yang menjadi tanggung jawabmu. Justru malah bukan yang pendamping itu kan di dia. Pusing nih kalau suruh. Mas aku gini rapat ki jajan ning ora. Nah, aku salah sing menyampaikan katanya tak jelas-jelas ada. Makanya dapat TKP kompilasi, kok dikirim neng keuangan kan gitu
Yang benar-benar paham soal itu ya Mas Rio, tapi memang masih banyak bolongnya datanya, mungkin karena dia nggak tapi kalau Mas Rio benar kenalan. Emailnya banyak.
Okay, good. This topic is quite new, right? About the audit in Sharia.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we have recognized about the general audit or financial audit, and then about the compliance audit, and about the performance audit, and investigative audit. And maybe it's quite new, but the Sharia audit practice, especially maybe it's quite new also in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
Is our curriculum talk about Sharia audit?
We don't have any in the audit Sharia yet, but maybe there's it would be good idea for the next curriculum. We introduce the audit Sharia for our curriculum, maybe, yeah.
Okay, betul Pak Ahim ya?
Yeah.
Mr. Ahim, Pak Ahim is arrived in this room. Okay. Sharia audit, but so many questions I think, because the first is, who is the auditor? It is external auditor or internal auditor? And what about the audit standard? Is there any audit standard in Sharia audit in Indonesia especially? And then, because I have read to the PowerPoint for Ibu Noraini that the Sharia audit, including in IIA, internal audit, Association of Internal Audit.
That's internal, yeah.
Internal or external?
Okay.
I think it is must be confirmed to Ibu Noraini.
Yeah, yeah.
And then about the user, who is the user? Internal user or external user? So for the external user, I think it is very influential for the consumer to decide to choose the Sharia banking or conventional banking. So the Sharia audit is included in financial performance or compliance or also fraud audit. Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, it's very new for us, yeah, Pak.
Yeah, it's very new because
in Malaysia, when I read the CV of Dr. Noraini, there's like the certification for Sharia, certificate of Sharia practitioner, Association of Sharia Advisors in Islamic Finance, subjects in fikih muamalah, usul fikih, kawaid fikih, principle of Islamic financial system, and so on. Maybe that's a good idea, yeah, that we gonna have.
Okay.
Anissa, you can use the virtual background, yeah. Or maybe it's too bright.
Yes.
Too bright, is it? Or
I'm still trying, Miss.
What about your background?
Maybe the room is too bright, so
Yes,
that's yeah. I don't know what.
But the wall is light.
The wall is white, sir.
Maybe the lamp.
Yeah, it's
The
white.
turning down the light of the lamp, maybe.
That's in the office IPAcc office. That's the is over there is very bright because I have a sunlight from the outside, the windows. But I think it's okay, Nisa. You don't have to use virtual background.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Miss. Thank you.
Are the audience from IPAcc only, or there are some people from outside of IPAcc?
There are some people outside IPAcc, sir, from accounting regular.
So all of the audience is students.
Sorry, sir.
All audience are students.
Students.
Yes, all audience is student from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta.
We already offer this occasion in the Instagram and the website of our department, but the only student who registered in this occasion, but there's no lecture interesting, or maybe they are too busy to join this general lecture.
What about Warum that you have used the big blue button in my class? It's okay, or there are so many problems?
Myself, it's okay, but
okay.
Because it's new for me, and it's completely different with Microsoft Teams. Yeah, sometimes it's still confusing, but one of the students already joined in your class. They tell me how to do it. She said that Pak Surya already used this one, and then they tell me how to share the documents and the file and so on.
Yes, maybe sometimes we can try to do the webinar using big blue button. It is very special owned by our campus.
Yeah. Okay, but that should be embedded in the one of the it should be embedded in the subject in my class, Pak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Embedded in every
Okay.
meeting, in every title of every topic in our my class.
Yeah.
We can set, and we can use it for multiple class. For example, Bu Arum have set the big blue button in the audit class, the second meeting audit class. You can choose A class and B class.
Okay.
Firstly, you can choose A class, and Bu Arum can teach in the A class, and you can come back to the my class and choose B class. You can share, but not double. If you choose B, you are not arrive in A, and if you choose A, not arrive in B.
Yeah, thanks, Pak Surya. Pak Surya, I think as Ibu Noraini already joined this room. Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Noraini.
Yeah, Assalamu'alaikum. Good morning, all.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam. This I'm Arum. That's the one who sometimes emailing you.
Okay. So sorry, I'm not able to use also my background. I think there's something wrong with my laptop, my Zoom application. So I can maintain my existing background. Is it?
It's okay.
So sorry, I can see that all with the nice background, but I'm having my office background today.
Yeah. It's okay. Doesn't matter.
Let's start, ma'am.
Yep.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we cordially invite you to be join at this general lecture program with the topic Sharia Audit Practice in Islamic Financial Institution in Malaysia. In a few minutes, the event will proceed on time. So please prepare yourself. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Greeting to all of us, the Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Noraini Muhammad Ariffin as our speaker today. The Honorable Dr. Surya Pratolo, SAMAC, AKCA, as our moderator in this event. The Honorable Mr. Ahim Abdurrahim as the head of Accounting Department, and the Honorable of Dr. Arum Indrasari, MBS, AKCA, as a Director of International Program of Accounting, and the Honorable our participant and invited. Okay. First, let's say thanks to Allah who has been giving us blessing and mercy so that we can gather in this place without something wrong happen. Second, may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us into the right ways of life. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am Anissa Rahmandita as your Master of Ceremony of this program. This event is held online because of the pandemic COVID-19. But before starting our event, let me explain the agenda schedule of this seminar. For the first one, there is an opening. The second one is greeting from Dr. Arum Indrasari as a Director of International Program of Accounting. The third one is webinar session that will be guided by Dr. Surya Pratolo. The fourth is question and answer session. And the last agenda is closing. So The first one, let's open this agenda with basmalah together.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
And the second one is greeting for Dr. Ahim Abdurrahim. For Dr. Ahim Abdurrahim, time is yours. I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain wa ba'du. Thanks for Ibu Noraini Muhammad Ariffin for your time to attend this event. I'm very happy you make a contribute to in accounting information program, international program in visiting professor. I hope we will have any experience and your information about audit and review Sharia, because in our curriculum we have one subject about audit and review Sharia. I think this topic is very important for us and for our institution. I hope this event will give any benefits. Thanks and will for your attendance and your contribution. I hope we will join in other activities. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Ahim. And the next one is greeting from Dr. Anda Arum Indrasari. For Dr. Anda Arum, time is yours.
Nggak direncanakan mau ini.
Sorry, ma'am, you are still mute your voice.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope that all of you in good health, so you can join this general lecture well. And here I really want to thank to Dr. Noraini Muhammad Ariffin giving us time to sharing the new knowledge for us. This about the audit Sharia, that we don't have any audit Sharia yet in our curriculum. And thank you for the time as well to Mr. Ahim Abdurrahim to already give speech for us in the general lecture, and thanks to Pak Suryo as well to be a moderator now, and thanks to everyone, my students, the student from IPAcc, and I think that we have a student from T3 accounting as well. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are really giving the attention to Dr. Noraini Muhammad Ariffin about giving about this topic, because maybe, and I hope that you are going to have a new knowledge about the Sharia audit. Yeah. So far in UMY, I think that in Indonesia we don't have any Sharia audit yet, so maybe it's gonna be very good idea for you maybe to have a new knowledge about this audit Sharia. Okay, and when I seen the curriculum vitae of Dr. Noraini Muhammad Ariffin, I think she really loved UK, yeah, because I think that she had a Bachelor of Science in Malaysia, but when I see the curriculum vitae, she's studied undergraduate in UK in 1990, finished in graduated in 1991, yeah, and then they continue master in UK as well, and then doing PhD in UK as well. So it's gonna be the second home. UK is a second home for her, yeah, Dr. Noraini Muhammad Ariffin. Like me, I stay 7 years in Australia. It's like I really want to go back there again, yeah, or live there again. It's like a second home for me as well. Okay, I think that's it. My speech, the opening speech for the general lecture today. And I hope that you really enjoy it and give attention, and don't forget to ask question to Ibu Dr. Noraini. And before the start later, I want that we have a picture together, because I'm gonna leave after this speech, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Speech for me. Thanks again to Dr. Noraini, Pak Ahim, and then Pak Suryo, and the students, my lovely students. Okay, thanks very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks for the warm greetings, ma'am. So we continue to the next agenda. The next agenda is webinar session that will be guided by Dr. Suryo Pratolo. Before we start to webinar session, please all of us prepare to take a photo session. Okay.
Camera on everyone, please.
Everyone, please turn on your camera and use that background. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Again. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, thank you everyone. We will continue our event. The next agenda is a webinar session that will be guided by Dr. Suryo Pratolo. For Dr. Suryo Pratolo, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for me to be a moderator of this webinar. Good morning, Ibu Noraini. Good morning, Ibu Arum. Good morning, Bapak Ahim. And good morning, every participants. There are now 70 participants in this webinar. And we hope this webinar will be okay until the end and giving so many benefit for us. Okay, Ibu Noraini, Ibu Dr. Ibu Noraini, good morning. My name is Suryo Pratolo. Insya Allah, I will be a moderator for this webinar. And first of all, is we say to thank to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, because every day, every time we have received every time we receive so many good condition. Maybe we hope all good condition for us, and we hope this meeting on this webinar will give so many benefit for us. And no forget that we say to salawat and salam to our Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, this webinar talk about a specific or special term, that is the Syariah audit, that in our campus, like Ibu Arum say before, maybe it's quite new in our campus in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, because we have discussed about the general audit or financial audit. We have discussed about the compliance audit, and we have discussed about the performance audit and maybe investigative audit. But for Syariah audit is quite new, and I think that it is the topic that's very interesting and very beneficial for us as a participant, as the attendance of the webinar. So I will share upon the curriculum vitae of Ibu Associate Professor Dr. Noraini. So many experience from Ibu Noraini for education. The PhD is from University of Surrey, UK, accounting for Islamic banks, and for the master from University of Dundee, UK, and bachelor from University of Wales, UK also. It's very love in UK, like Ibu Arum say before. And then so many experience about the professional experience in International Syariah Research Academy in Amani Advisor Limited, Dubai, Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad, Amanah Raya Berhad, and etc. So many experience also in teaching responsibility. Ibu Nur is an associate professor in Department of Accounting in IIUM. And so many students has supervised by Ibu Noraini, the student from PhD program, the student from master as a main supervisor, and the master for co-supervisor also. Research project, there are so many research as a principal research, like in Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad, revisiting zakat computation, and publication, so many publication in books or chapter in books, and journal publications, okay, trainings, and etc. Okay, so many experience that we believe that Ibu Noraini is very expert in the Syariah, especially in audit Syariah. So we will discuss until 10:30, for West time of Indonesia, Western time of Indonesia, until 10 times. And I think it is time for Ibu Noraini to share the PowerPoint and the speech. So this is your time, Ibu. Please, can you start at now. Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Thank you, Dr. Suryo, for a very kind introduction. So you don't have to read all in my CV. I think I'm just giving my CV for the sake of my submission to the organizer. So I didn't expect you to read all that I put in my CV. But anyway, thank you for that. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm not yet expert in anything. I'm still learning. And today also, I'm just sharing what I have learned for the past few years in my involvement with the industry. So Dr. Ahim, thank you also for the invitation, Dr. Arum. So I'm so honored to be, with all of you today, even though through this virtual meeting. I wish I could go to Jogja for this invitation, but due to the pandemic and all this issue, we are able only to use this platform for our program. But Alhamdulillah, I think I'm glad to see so many participants here, and we have about 69, 70 participants. So thank you all for coming for this session, and I really hope that all of you somehow benefit from my sharing. I'm just sharing. I'm not going to give lecture here, and I would like to see more participation from all during this session. So as mentioned by Dr. Suryo, I'm given about until 10:30 Indonesian time, right? Not Malaysian time, because Malaysian time is already 10:20 now. So I have only 10 minutes if based on Malaysian time. So I think I assume by 11:30 Malaysian time, I will stop. And then I will open for the questions and comments and also feedback input from others. Okay, I would like to share my slide. If I can do that, let me check. Yeah, okay. So the host already allowed me to share my slide. Okay, you can all see my slide, is it?
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, it's not bigger. Okay. When I received the email from Dr. Arum, I think. Yeah, Dr. Arum. Yeah. I think Dr. Arum. Oh, why is it? Is it okay now?
Okay.
Because I can see my voice is actually. Okay, it's okay. I think I don't have to use my mic. Can I use only this one? Now? Is it okay?
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I received the email from the organizer. Then they give me the topic of auditing. Okay. So I'm trying my best to set what is echo? I don't know.
Dr. Noraini,
Can
I think that's better you use your headset, I think.
Yes. Sorry, ma'am. Your sound is not clear.
It's clearer.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. No, I think I can see my voice is echo. I can listen again to my voice. Is it okay now?
Better you use the headset.
Let me try.
Yeah.
Let me try my headphone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Better.
Okay. I think. Okay. Let me share my screen again. So sorry for the. Okay. Okay, so I would like to have this topic, Syara audit practice in Islamic financial institutions in Malaysia, because my expertise or my involvement more towards the Syara audit, not really auditing in general. And I know that all of you curriculum and in your studies, so I'm not going to go into auditing in details, but I just would like to share with regard to the difference between audit. I mean the audit that Dr. Suryo has mentioned just now, talking about financial statement audit, compliance audit, and also the performance syarat audit. So that be my plan actually in the sharing session, to have that particular discussion. Okay, I'm from IIUM, so I think the moderator, Dr. Suryo, has already announced that I'm from Department of Accounting, International Islamic University, Malaysia. Known that in Indonesia, you also have Islamic banks, all right? So I think in Malaysia we have Islamic banks and also takaful. So this is what we call under Islamic financial institutions. And what you can see that in the Islamic financial institution, they are a bit unique as compared to the conventional financial syarah compliant requirements. No riba, no garar, and no maisir. Garar is the uncertainty, maisir is gambling, and riba is the excess. So what we are assuming that because of the salient features in these institutions, then the existing audit, what has been known at the moment, may not be sufficient for the Islamic financial institutions. Okay, so for your information, in the Islamic financial institution, they also have the normal audit, the one that you have learned, the financial statement audit, the compliance audit, the performance audit, the internal audit. That these particular audits are there in the Islamic financial institutions, but on top of that, in addition to that, they also will have to have Sharia too, and due to the Sharia compliance. Okay, just to revisit the definition of auditing, I think maybe for some of you, you already familiar with this auditing. When we talk about auditing in the general situation, we are referring to the accumulation between the information and established criteria. So I think when a person conduct audit or perform audit, they are accumulating the evidence. Okay, and the evidence as what you have learned, maybe in the form of the minutes of meetings, that you want to ensure the information or whatever presented in the financial statements in when we talk about financial statement audit will and in the case of financial audit, you will refer to the General Accepted Accounting Principles, GAAP. In Malaysia, we use MFRS or International Financial Reporting Standards. In Indonesia, I will assume they also have their own Indonesian accounting standards that will be used by the companies, including the banks, when they prepare their financial statements. So these are definitions taken from ERAS 2008. What is the auditing? So we will talk about information, established criteria, which is the MFRS or IFRS or Indonesian accounting standards, and then to accumulate the evidence. And the other important part for the auditing also, this audit must be done by a competent and must be independent person. I think you have talked about independence in fact, independence in appearance. So that would be the category of the person or the characteristic of the persons who can conduct audit. And then later we'll see how Syara auditor need to have, and they are also will have to be comply with the ethical standards. Okay, and then at the end of their audit, they have to prepare their audit report. So that's how you can see for this auditor. Okay. Alright. Okay. Okay. Definition of auditing: financial statement audit. Okay. This actually to obtain the reasonable assurance about whether the financial report as a whole is free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud, thereby enabling the audit. Can you hear me clearly? Is it okay? Your side is okay?
Yes, okay, Ibu. Okay.
Okay. I don't know. I'm listening. I have. Okay. Okay. So you can read this slide. So to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial report is a whole is free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion on whether the financial report is prepared in all material aspects in accordance with the legal financial reporting framework. So this when we talk about the financial statement audit, we are referring to the applicable financial reporting framework. And in this case, what I mentioned to you earlier will be more towards the accounting standards. I think this actually just what you have learned also in your curriculum. And we have to ensure as auditor that the financial report must be free from material misstatement. What we mean by material misstatement is something that is not correct, reported in that financial statement. So when the auditor check the financial statement, they have to ensure whatever reported in that financial statements will not have any manipulation. The figures are correct. So there's no, for example, someone would like to report something which is not right in that financial statement, just to gain benefit from that from that institution. So this what normally happen in the normal financial statement audit. I think very straightforward. And at the end of the day, I think the auditors will give the true and fair view. I think this is straightforward lah, because the auditor will always give true and fair view in the financial statement. I think there'll be a big problem when the auditor did not give true and fair view. We have also the situation where the auditor gives true and fair view at the beginning, but after many years, I think this happened in Malaysia. We have a lot of cases in Malaysia now where the auditor changed their opinion when they receive the new evidence. I think this normally happen when we have this political change. I think somehow, I think maybe you have heard the issue of 1MDB in Malaysia. 1MDB is something that also have impact to the auditor, because when the auditor check the financial statement at that point of time, it's okay because everything based on whatever the auditor received at that point of time. But when we have a change of the politics, then the auditor obtain additional information. Then the auditor change the opinion. Okay, so because at the end of the day, the auditor must give true and fair view opinion and should enhance the credibility of financial statement. However, when auditor give this true and fair view, it's not the assurance that this particular institution will be able to sustain in the foreseeable future. Auditor is not planned to do that. What auditor has done, they only give the opinion on that financial statement that everything according to the auditors are correct. And there's no misstatement, no errors, no misleading information, and so on. Okay, so audit is designed to provide reasonable assurance. I think you'll see the reasonable assurance that financial statements taken as whole are free from misstatement. Why reasonable? Because the auditor will be using sampling. When the auditor conduct the audit, the auditor will not audit everything. They just take the sample. Then from that sample, they will conduct their audit. So the auditor can only give reasonable assurance, not complete assurance. So I think you also learned that we have reasonable versus complete assurance. So what you need to understand that the auditor can only give reasonable assurance that everything are free from misstatement. And then auditor can give this true and fair view. Okay. What does this true and fair mean? True and fair view means the financial statements are not misleading. Financial statements do not contain any misstatement, and the financial statements are prepared on the basis of established criteria. Okay, so I'm just focusing on financial statements audit here because this is the more needed in the industry, where at the end of every period, a year end, they have to engage auditor to conduct this financial statements audit. Okay, reasonable versus complete assurance. When come to the Islamic financial institutions, the auditor also have given their true and fair view. The financial statement auditor has given the true and fair view that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. Okay, but this one is based on the stamping basis. So that's why we talked about reasonable assurance earlier. So when the auditor provide this assurance, it's just reasonable assurance. Why? Because the financial statement, because the evidence will be accumulated on a sampling basis, thus the auditors only express reasonable assurance. I wish that the auditor can check everything. That would be more comprehensive assurance. But again, due to the limited time, limited period, and then the human resources capability, they can only take sample and they will conduct the audit based on that sample. When it comes to Syarah Committee, I think for the Islamic financial institution, I think similar to Indonesia institution as well, they have to engage one group of people to ensure compliance with Sharia. I think there's a lot of discussion on compliance to Sharia that we have to know, but I think I'll just summarize that into to ensure that all the transaction will follow the requirements by the Syarah Committee of the institutions, as well as conduct the transaction according to the requirements in the Quran, Hadith, and so on. So that's what you meant by this requirement. And if you do some quick study on the external auditors of Islamic banks, Bahrain, for example, majority of their Islamic banks are audited by EY. And yeah, I think majority, even Saudi Arabia also by EY. Okay, Saudi Arabia we have, hold on, yeah, I think majority by EY. So if you can see from here that majority of the Islamic banks are audited by Big Four, which is EY. And then Malaysia also we have EY, PwC, KPMG, Bank Islam, for example, PwC, Bank Muamalat Malaysia, EY, RHB Islamic, PwC, OCBC Al-Amin, KPMG. And when I check Indonesia, also Bank Syariah Mandiri, EY, and Bank Muamalat Indonesia, we have also this partner, Dolly Bambang Sulistianto, Dadang, and Ali. So that be the auditor that audit the financial statement of these Islamic banks. And what they have done, they are conducting financial statement audit only. Nothing to do with Syarah audit. When EY audit Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, EY only conduct the financial statement audit. So maybe you'll be asking, who actually conducting Syarah audit? Because we are talking about Syarah audit in this session. Then what we have learned so far, or what you have heard so far, that all these Big Four auditors are just conducting financial statement audit. So Syarah audit, according to the requirement in Malaysia, is done by internal auditors, not external auditors at the moment. Of course, we are still having discussion whether Syarah audit should also be conducted by external auditors. But due to the current requirement in Malaysia, the limitation in Malaysia, for example, at the moment, Bank Negara Malaysia, our central bank, require that the Syarah auditor must be conducted by internal auditors. Who are the internal auditors? The staff of the institutions. And they are there. I mean, the internal auditors already there for many years. In all institutions, in even companies also, they also engage internal auditors or employ internal auditors in the companies, and they are to ensure internal control are in place. Okay, and according to Institute of Internal Auditors Malaysia, under this International Professional Practice Framework, internal auditor is to provide independent, objective assurance and consulting services to add value and improve the organization operation, and it helps the organization accomplish its objectives, to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of governance, risk management and control processes, and help to bring a systematic discipline approach. So these are the mission of the normal internal auditors in any institution. What's different between internal auditors and external auditors? External auditors will be more towards financial statement audit. Internal auditors more towards the compliance, to ensure internal control is effective, and also to ensure the governance also effective in that particular institution. So I think when you talk about the external auditors, they are not going to cover the governance because they are just focused on financial statement audit. But internal auditor, we also have to ensure the governance effective, and also the internal control, the risk management, the internal policies are followed, and so on. So this when we talk about this internal auditor, okay. So why we need syariah audit for Islamic financial institution? Now I go to my topic now. Why we need this syariah audit? External financial auditors, as what I discussed earlier, only responsible to audit the financial statement, okay. And then they also look at the financial and then operational system. So you're talking about IT audit, then you also need someone to also check on the IT system. And this is also part of the external auditors. But when you talk about external financial auditors, they only will focus on the financial statements audit. They are not going to look into Sharia requirements. Sharia committee, the one that the institution have has appointed as the advisors in the institution, they only focus on Sharia compliant product and policy. They don't conduct audit. My experience as the Sharia committee for few institutions in Malaysia, we will be there to ensure that the transaction in that particular institution comply with Sharia. But we are not the one who conduct Sharia audit. Because Sharia audit will be done by internal auditors. We will depend on the work of internal auditors to ensure that everything is in place. So when Sharia committee provide the report in the Islamic in the annual report, Sharia committee report, we will put there that we have to depend on the work of Sharia auditor, Sharia reviewer, Sharia risk management to ensure Sharia compliant in these particular institutions. Because they are there full time. We are there just as advisor, and most of us are actually attached to other institutions. Like myself, I attached to IIUM, and I'm there just to advise on the Sharia compliant transaction. Okay, so that's the reason why we need another party to conduct Sharia audit. Internal auditor also focus on internal control, so they also do not conduct Sharia audit currently. So we need a design Sharia audit program to ensure reasonable assurance of Sharia compliant for Islamic financial institution. So if I would like to give analogy, some explanation here. External auditor is there, internal auditor also there, but we need another party to conduct Sharia audit. And that party actually come from the internal auditors. So inside this internal auditors later, you will see that we have two groups of internal auditors. And I would prefer that they have a dedicated internal auditors to conduct Sharia audit. Rather than the same internal auditors conduct both normal audit and also Sharia audit. If they do that, then there'll be a situation where they will overlook some of the issues. We had the situation where internal auditors conduct Sharia audit when they conduct their normal audit. Embedded. We have the embedded approach where the same internal auditor, they do their internal audit, the normal internal audit. During that normal internal audit, they also will embed the Syara audit part. And most of the time when they report to the Syara committee, they will miss many things because they are not focused. They just conduct their normal audit very thoroughly when they want to audit the internal control of that institution. But when it comes to Syara audit, because they are not really focused for that and they don't have the knowledge to conduct the Syara audit, they also may miss some of the important aspect in the audit. That's why normally we would recommend, or we would not recommend, we would require that the dedicated internal auditors to conduct Syara audit. So in the same institution, they will also have their internal auditor. And maybe they have 3 internal auditors. So the 2 internal auditor will conduct the normal audit. 1 internal auditor will do Syara audit. That would be more effective if they can do that rather than they have this embedded approach. Okay. So in the Syara Governance Policy Document 2019, Bank Negara Malaysia has made it very clear that Syara governance is very important. Okay. So Syara governance is integral to Islamic financial system stability. The institutionalization of a sound Syara governance framework strengthen the confidence in the integrity, management and business operation of the Islamic financial institution. And Indonesia, again, I think it's also good if Indonesia can also have a proper Syara governance. And what I know that they are now developing that as well. Bank Indonesia will now try to also come up with the Syara governance for the Islamic financial institution in Indonesia. And if you can have this, then I think that will make your the public will have more confidence in the Islamic financial institution in Indonesia, for example. And I believe that Indonesia will have a lot of prospect because you have a lot of Muslims and you also have a lot of customers who would like to have Islamic banking transactions. So meaning that I think I have a lot of students also from Indonesia that I have supervised. And most of them are also studying about Syara governance in Indonesia, the requirement for Syara audit in Indonesia, and the corporate social responsibility in Indonesia. So very interesting finding also. And I can see that Indonesia is a good country to also have this Syara governance and also Syara audit for the Islamic financial institution in Indonesia. Okay, because when we have this good Syara governance or effective Syara governance, then you will have the effective management of Syara non-compliant risk. These are the most important risks in the Islamic financial institutions because when they have this risk, their transaction do not comply with Sharia. And that will give big impact to the industry. The customer will have no confidence, customer will withdraw their money, customer will not put their money into this Islamic bank, and then reputational risk. So this will have somehow not good for the industry if we have this Syara non-compliant risk. And if they don't have any proper mechanism to check on that, then I think that will lead to that Syara non-compliant risk. That's why we need to have Syara audit. Syara audit is the definition is similar to the normal audit. The only thing Syara audit here, the references, the established criteria. If you remember the definition of auditing just now, we're going to look at the established criteria. Under financial audit, established criteria will be the general accepted accounting principle, the GAAP. Under Syara audit, the established criteria will be the ruling by Syara committee or ruling by the Sharia Advisory Council of Central Bank or the Sharia resolutions, the documents by central banks. So when Sharia auditor conduct Sharia audit, we follow the same process as conventional auditor. But what they are checking is a bit different. Or what they are assessing is a bit different because they're going to assess whether the transactions comply with Sharia. Not to assess whether comply with the accounting standard, but to assess whether the transaction in this institution comply with the Sharia requirements. So to do that, Sharia auditor must understand Sharia. Not to understand Arabic. I don't think that Sharia auditor need to understand Arabic in total. But if they have that understanding is good, or they can read Arabic also very good. But in Malaysia, we don't put that as a requirement to become Sharia auditor. The requirement to become Sharia auditor in Malaysia, according to Bank Negara Syariah Governance Policy 2019, to have requisite knowledge in Sharia. Just to understand Sharia, meaning you know what is Sharia, what is not allowed in Sharia, and how the transaction to be done according to Sharia. So when Sharia auditor conduct Sharia audit, for example, they want to audit deposit product. So they will look at the transaction in that deposit, what contract the deposit product is used. Is it wakalah, wadiah, qad, tawarruk? I think there are a lot of Sharia contract that you can also learn later. But if they know that that contract use, I just put, for example, tawarruk, commodity murabahah, then the Sharia auditor need to understand what is commodity murabahah. Then they have to also see whether what they have done follow the requirement in that commodity murabahah or not. That's all. So I think to become Sharia auditor, other than you know some auditing technique, you also need to understand how to do audit. You also need to understand Sharia. For you to become a normal auditor, you need to understand accounting standards. Because if you don't understand accounting standard, you cannot conduct financial audit. Just imagine you don't know anything about standard on impairment, standard on the property, plant, equipment, standard on leasing. So how you want to conduct the audit on leasing, to conduct audit on the impairment and so on. That is meant for the normal audit or the external auditor. But when it comes to Sharia audit, the party who conduct Sharia audit must understand Sharia. So what I meant by understand Sharia, that you have to understand the requirements in the Sharia contracts. And we don't really need those who have Sharia background to do that. But if you are from accounting background, but you know Sharia, you can also become a good Sharia auditor. And will be added value to you if you know Arabic. If you can understand Arabic, then I can see that that will be very added value to that auditor when they conduct Sharia audit. Because the references you can understand, because most of the references are in Arabic, then you can also understand that better rather than just read the translation. But you can also understand the translation also somehow is minimum requirement to become Sharia auditor. Alright, so that's what I think we have done in Malaysia. And we are also hoping that other countries can also follow our practice. May not be the best practice, but we are trying to improve also from time to time how to have the Sharia audit in the Islamic financial institution, in addition to the normal audit. So it's nothing wrong with the normal audit, but you just add the Sharia audit, that's all. Okay. So an Islamic financial institution must ensure effective management of Sharia non-compliant risk, which require the following functions to be performed: Sharia risk management, Sharia review, and Sharia audit. Our focus today is only Sharia audit. I'm not going to talk about these two functions here. Maybe these two functions also can be covered in a later stage. But we are just focusing on Sharia audit, meaning that to ensure effective management of Sharia non-compliant risk, the Sharia audit must also effective. So they must have a good number of officers with the appropriate competencies and experience to do this task. So the bank, the Islamic bank, the Islamic financial institutions must provide sufficient resources for the control function, including Sharia audit, and then to have also adequate number of officers with appropriate competencies and experience. So they must have a skill set, the competency to be able to conduct Sharia audit. Okay. So what's syarah non-compliant risk? We have been talking about the syarah non-compliant risk in the previous slides. This talking about failure to comply with the rulings of the Syarah Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia, standards on syarah matters issued by Bank Negara Malaysia, or decision or advice of the Syarah Committee. So if that particular institutions did not comply with all of this, then that can lead to syariah non-compliant risk. Okay, so this is what we meant by syariah non-compliant. Does not comply with syariah. When come to financial audit, we are talking about must not have misstatement or no errors. But in syariah audit, we are not going to look from the errors perspective or the misstatement perspective, but we are looking from the syariah non-compliant perspective. So these are the risks in the syariah audit. In the audit, the risk will be the misstatement as well as errors or not complying with the accounting standards. But in the Sharia audit, the risk is actually the Sharia non-compliant risk. So that's how we differentiate this Sharia audit and also the other type of audit. Okay. So these are the things that has been used in the risk management, 3 lines of defense. And I believe that in audit, you may come across also this term earlier or this defense earlier. But in case this is your first time see this 3 lines of defense, let me just share how this line of defense applicable to normal audit as well as the Sharia audit. When you talk about the normal audit, the first line of defense is the owner. The risk owner of that particular activity. And I'm referring to the bank here. My entity is the bank. So the first line of defense in this situation will be the department in the bank. We have finance department, human resource department, marketing department, IT department, what else? Product department, and then you have human resource department. So these are the business units, or what we call the risk owner. So in the first line of defense, the head of these departments must ensure that their department comply with the requirement. Talking about internal audit, then they have to ensure that comply with the internal policies in that particular department. The SOP. I think we have been talking about SOP, the standard operating procedures during this COVID-19. So this also something that each department must ensure that their department comply with the SOP of their department. So that's the responsibility of the head of each department to ensure the compliance. And these are what we call first line of defense. Second line of defense, we will have the compliance department or the risk management department to also check this department whether they comply or not comply. So that's under the second line of defense. Okay. Third line, the internal audit. I think third line of defense is the most independent defense, because internal audit will also go into this department and also check whether these departments comply with the internal policies, comply with the SOPs, and so on. That's for the normal situation. Under the Sharia requirement, the first line of defense is still the same. The head of department of each of that institution. So the head of department must ensure compliance to Sharia, because we are talking about Sharia requirement. So head of marketing must ensure that when their staff do marketing for the products in the Islamic banks, the marketings must comply with Sharia. Meaning that in the brochure, in the advertisement, they should not have any images that do not comply with Sharia. So the head of marketing must ensure that when their staff market the product in the Islamic banks, the advertisement comply with Sharia. That's the first line of defense. The second line of defense, we will have the compliance department, syarah review, will check the marketing department and also ensure everything comply with Sharia. So that's the second line of defense. Okay. The third line of defense, the internal audit also will do the checking. But when you talk about internal audit, it's more independent and more objective because they report to audit committee. The reporting is direct to audit committee here. They cannot report to the management because these are the most independent and also the objective assurance on the syarah compliance. But the review, the management here, risk management report to syarah committee and report to the management. So that's why they are at the second line of defense. So I really hope that all of you are able to differentiate between first line of defense, second line of defense, and also third line of defense. Because they actually represent different group of people and they are really supporting each other to ensure syarah compliant end to end from the beginning until the end. Okay, but if you would like to relate that if this first line of defense is effective, meaning that the head of department of this units will be really checking their transaction and everything comply with Sharia. So when the second line or and third line do the checking, you will expect there's no findings. Everything is perfect. Why? Because the first line is effective. And what I would like to do here is to relate to the third line here because syarah audit. We are talking about syarah audit in this session. So syarah audit will be also the parties that will ensure with all these particular defense are effective. So we have the syarah audit also will check syarah review. The syarah audit also will check syarah risk management. Syarah audit will also check the risk owners to ensure everything are in place. So I think this is the most independent function we're talking about syarah audit in this line of defense. Okay, so let me continue. I have another 20 or about 30 minutes. What is syarah audit? Syarah audit refers to a function that provide an independent assessment on the quality of effectiveness of the Islamic financial institutions' internal control, risk management systems, governance processes, as well as the overall compliance of the Islamic financial institutions' operations, business affairs, and activities with Sharia. Okay, so you have so many keywords in this definition. Let me try to highlight the most important keyword in this definition, which is independent assessment here. Okay, independent assessment and then compliance with Sharia. That's the role of syarah audit. And they also will ensure the quality and effectiveness of the internal control, risk management system, governance, as well as the overall compliance to Sharia. So this definition is exactly similar to internal audit definition, but only we have to ensure Sharia compliant. Because internal audit talking about independent assessment, quality, effectiveness of internal control, risk management, governance, and then compliance. But internal audit will not cover Sharia. But Sharia audit will cover Sharia. Why we use this definition? Because Sharia audit is conducted by internal auditors. If you remember my previous slide on the internal audit mission, they have all this inside the internal audit mission. On the internal control, on the risk management, on the governance, and then on the independent assessment. So this is exactly internal audit function. But only now we are having our dedicated internal auditor to conduct Sharia audit. I think that's just the difference between this and also the internal audit. So what the Sharia audit need to do? They have to establish audit methodology. Okay. Not something new to auditing students because you have learned your auditing and you also have learned audit methodology. What is audit methodology is how you assess the risk profile and the vulnerabilities of the each auditable area. So for you to start the audit, you have to have this audit methodology, the method to conduct the audit. And how you decide which sample to use. For example, you will do risk profile. For example, you have a lot of audit universe here, what you want to audit. Then from all this audit area, auditable area, you will assign some risk there. And the auditor will focus on the high risk profile first. Because you cannot audit all. I mean, it's very difficult to audit all. You still need to base on sample. So to select or to choose the sample, you have to do to assess the risk profile. And then from there, you can do audit plan. Okay, so not something new to you, right? I think this is similar to what you have learned perhaps. We're talking about the flow of audit. Okay, start with audit methodology and then do the audit plan. And then prepare audit program. Okay, and then after that, you conduct the audit. And then you communicate result to the board. But when we talk about Syariah audit, they also have to communicate the result to the Syariah committee. And then through the audit report, and the audit report will detailing the audit findings and recommendations for rectification measures, as well as the auditor's responses and action plans. So this what will have to be part of this audit report. Okay, so similar to the normal audit, but then we are focusing on Sharia requirements. So do not, I mean, a bit worry when you want to understand the Sharia audit, because if you understand the audit, then now what you have to do is to have the same, requirements similar to the audit, and the only difference under Sharia audit, you have to have the Sharia requirement. And what Sharia requirement? You have to comply with all the rulings by the Sharia advisor, Sharia committee of the institutions. For example, to have this, you have to have A, B, C, D, and E. That's the Sharia requirements. And then for this one, you have to have X, Y, Z. So that must be complied when you talk about Sharia audit requirement. If they don't comply, then that becomes Sharia audit findings. And that result need to be communicated to the board audit committee. Okay, board here refer to audit committee, and then to Syariah committee as well. Okay, so that's how you do that to conduct this Syariah audit. The scope of Syariah audit. Okay, what are the scope of Syariah audit? The scope of Syariah audit include the compliance audit on the structure, on people, on process, on the system. And also the adequacy of Syariah governance process. And this also part of the scope of Syariah audit, audit of financial statements. Okay, so now you may be wondering how this different from the financial statement audit. Because financial statement auditor, the auditor that audit financial statement, also will audit financial statements. Then here you see my slide showing that in the scope of Syariah audit, you also have audit of financial statements. You may think that that may not be right because that will overlap the two roles there. But actually it's not, because this audit of financial statements is not to check compliance with the accounting standards. But this audit of financial statement to check on the compliance to Sharia. So there are actually some of the items in the financial statements that may not be Sharia compliant. And this will be the job of Sharia auditor to check on that. I give example, zakat. I think maybe you have come across with the term zakat. The zakat computation may not be correct. That also part of the financial statements. And the Sharia auditor will be the one who will give the findings that this is wrong computation for zakat. Or the zakat is not disbursed at the right time. Because zakat need to be disbursed to the asnaf in the same year. If they keep the zakat fund in the bank, that will not be right. So that also can lead to Syariah non-compliant. So that is part of the financial statements. Or maybe the computation of the profit is not right, not syarah compliant, because they don't do profit sharing ratio accordingly. So that is part of the audit of financial statements. It's totally different from the external auditors task. Because external auditors will just cover audit of financial statement from the accounting standards perspective. They don't look from the Sharia requirements. But again, you can also argue that the external auditors, when they conduct the financial statement audits, they can also conduct the Sharia audit on the financial statements. Yes, this can also be done. If the external auditors have the competency to conduct Sharia audit on the financial statements. But most of the time, external auditors will say that we don't have the competency to conduct Sharia audit on financial statements. So we will only focus on on the normal audit on financial statement, on the statutory audit, and we will not be covering the Sharia audit on the financial statement. So that make the internal auditors will have to still focus on the audit of the financial statements. Alright, so that's the scope of Sharia audit. And what are the reference? We are talking about established criteria just now. In the normal audit, we base on accounting standards. In the case of Malaysia, International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and our local name, Malaysian Financial Reporting Standard, MFRS. In the case of Indonesia, you may also have your own accounting standards for you to check whether the financial statement comply with that accounting standards or not. But in the case of Sharia audit, the references are not accounting standards. Even we don't also refer to IOFI because IOFI is not meant for the Sharia audit references. You know IOFI, the accounting and auditing of Islamic financial institutions standards in Bahrain. That's the accounting standard that normally applicable to all the Islamic financial institutions. So when it comes to the Sharia audit references, the reference will be rulings and decision of the Sharia Committee of the Islamic Financial Institutions. Okay. Rulings and decision of the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia and Security Commission. Guideline issued by Bank Negara Malaysia and Security Commission. Okay, sorry. Other relevant applicable pronouncement issued by Bank Negara and the approved product manual, standard operating procedures, guidelines pertaining to Sharia compliance. So the Sharia auditor, when they conduct Sharia audit, they will have to refer to all these references and to give the report that everything comply with this if there is no Sharia audit findings. Mostly we will have some issues during Sharia audit. We never had Sharia audit report will have no issue at all. Because the people will tend to make mistakes, and there can be some mistake done by the parties who involved in this transaction. Normally, the findings will relate to the people, the mistake done by the people during that transaction, or can also due to the IT system. IT system is not Sharia compliant, so that can also become the findings during the Sharia audit reporting. All right. Okay, so this is the example of Sharia Committee report in the case of Malaysian Islamic financial institutions. So you can see that at the end of this report, Sharia Committee will give the opinion everything comply with Sharia. Okay. So when Sharia Committee gives this opinion, as what you know, Sharia Committee did not conduct audit. Sharia Committee did not check in the Islamic financial institution everything comply with Sharia. But Sharia Committee will have to really depend on the work of Sharia auditor to do the checking for them. That's why all the Islamic financial institutions will have to have Sharia audit or Sharia auditor, and these Sharia auditors, they will have to do the job in the bank, in the takaful, for example, and then the report will be presented to the Sharia Committee, and from there, Sharia Committee will be able to know that everything is in place or not. And the Sharia Committee can give this opinion. In our opinion, that the contracts, transaction that we have reviewed comply with Sharia, And then the allocation of profit, losses also for investment account also comply with Sharia. And then earnings have been realized from sources prohibited has been channeled to charity. Zakat is in compliance with Sharia principle. Then we, the members of the Sharia Committee of ABC Islamic Financial Institutions, do hereby agree that the operation of the ABC Islamic Bank, Islamic Financial Institutions for the year ended XXX here, conducted in conformity with the Sharia principles. So that what will happen for the Sharia Committee report at the end of each financial year. I think for Islamic Bank, for Takaf in Malaysia, even in Indonesia, I can also see that when I look at one of the Bank Mandiri financial statement, they also have the Sharia Committee report that mentioned that everything in that bank comply with Sharia. And this is a requirement for all the Islamic financial institutions to present or to put this Sharia Committee report. Okay, I think my last few slides just talk about Sharia audit process, how to conduct Sharia audit, and it's exactly the same as the normal audit process. So when you talk about a normal audit process, you will start with the planning and then field work and then report. Sharia audit process also start with the same thing, start with the planning and the execution is the field work where you go to the ground and do the checking and then reporting to report the findings, and then the next one is the follow up. So after findings have been reported, then after that they need to follow up on the findings. Whether the findings have been, whether the recommendations have been done or not by that company or by that institution. Okay, so in the planning stage, the auditor, here we are talking about Sharia auditor, they have to include a complete understanding about the Islamic bank's operations in terms of product, size, operation, location, branches, subsidiaries, and division. So I think to start the audit as the auditor, I think in all situations, even financial statement audit, compliance audit, performance audit, I think during planning, all the auditors must understand first that entity. If you do not understand the entity, you are not able to conduct a good audit. So that's why I think in my understanding at all the audit process, the most important stage is the planning stage. So the planning stage where you document, you have to properly document it, including the sample selection, size taking, selection size, selection criteria, and then also to prepare this audit planning assignment, how many person to conduct this Sharia audit, and then to prepare also this audit plan at the end. So normally this will be done in the last quarter of the financial year. So for the next year audit, the plan will be done this year. And I think now is the time they will present the audit plan to get the approval, December. Because the audit will start in January next year. So this will be the time where the audit plan will be presented. And then to perform Sharia risk assessment on the audit universe. So this also what you can see from this. You will assess all the risks first, and then maybe sample can be selected from the higher risk area. And then prepare Sharia audit program. And also determine how many audit assignment to be conducted through the next 12 months. Table to audit committee and Sharia committee for approval and adoption. So once audit committee and Sharia committee approve, then the plan can be used to for the audit next year. Okay, so that's the planning phase of planning stage. Execution is the second stage. Sharia audit process for the second will be the execution stage, where at this stage, the field work is done. The auditor will go to do the checking. So how you do the checking? You audit contracts, audit standard operating procedure, SOP, audit the circulars, minutes of meeting. What you have here, the operating and financial reports, policies, interviewing relevant personnel, and then observe process operation, audit the computation, distribution, zakat computation, penalty computation, and then assess the adequacy of internal control system for the syarah compliant. So meaning that these are done at the fieldwork stage, execution stage. What we mean by execution is the stage where the auditor will go to the department that they want to audit and check everything. And after this stage, then they can prepare the report. Okay. Very interesting stage here. Like we are talking about, this is the also important stage because this is the stage where you gather the evidence. These are the evidence that we have to gather all this evidence. And then how you do this to compare with the established criteria. Remember the audit, the definition of audit? You have to accumulate the evidence and then compare that with the established criteria. So these are the evidence to be collected. Then the criteria will be the Sharia rulings for Sharia audit. When you talk about the financial statement audit, the evidence will be all the documents, the invoice, the bank statement, the minutes of meetings. Then the criteria will be the accounting standards. When come to Sharia audit, these are all the evidence from the SOP, the contracts, the minutes of meeting, the from the staff, and then the process, the computation, the internal control system. But the criteria will be the Sharia rulings by the Sharia advisors or Sharia committee and Sharia advisory council of the central banks. Okay, so that's how you relate this to the to that audit, normal audit. That's why in my earlier presentation, I have mentioned to you that if you want to understand Sharia audit, you have to understand audit first. And if you understand audit, you can understand Sharia audit. Because Sharia audit is actually similar to the normal audit. The only thing because the criteria to be used is different. Okay, so that's why for all the auditing students, I still believe that you can become a good Sharia auditor if you understand audit. And you have to have Sharia knowledge with you. So maybe you have to, after you complete your degree, maybe you can take some Sharia qualification to enhance your value, added value to you. So you have got your accounting degree. At the same time, you can also accumulate some of the Sharia knowledge. So these two knowledge is very, very important for the Sharia auditors, if you plan to go into that field. And it's a very demanding also field later, maybe I assume also in Indonesia. Because I think Indonesian Islamic Bank will also require Sharia auditor later to ensure Sharia compliance is there. Okay. Right. So the reporting will be the stage where the Sharia auditor will report the findings. Okay. So when come to this stage, what happened is that report the Sharia non-compliant or potential Sharia non-compliant events, activities, transactions. And also there's a need to highlight the root cause of that Sharia non-compliant. What I meant by root cause here, for example, the Sharia auditor found that the transaction did not comply with the Sharia requirement. The sequence, for example, the sequence of the transaction actually does not follow the right sequence. Should be A first, and then after A only B, but the bank start with the B and then A. I mean, I think I don't have to explain that in detail because that is very technical as well. So let me just give analogy. Syarah requirement require A first and then only B to be done. But when the Syarah auditor check, the person who do that transaction start with B and then only A. So that's Syarah non-compliant. So the root cause actually the people who do that transaction. the officer who do that transaction may not have the knowledge in Sharia. And the person who do that transaction may not understand Sharia. And because of that, the sequence is not followed. So they just do whatever is easier to the transaction. And that will make that particular maybe product can be offered to the customer. And customer also want to be quick, so they just skip that and then do that first, and then later only they do the other one. That actually syarah non-compliant in that respect. So they have to also highlight what are the causal factor for that syarah non-compliant, the root cause. Okay, and then assess the degree and risk impact to the bank, whether there's financial impact or just the non-financial impact. The reputation of the bank is affected. If there's a financial impact, then they have to channel the income to charity. So that where the auditor need to assess the degree of the risk and impact to the bank as a whole. So that also need to be done during the report. And then to recommend corrective action and improvement. So the syarah auditor also need to mention in that particular report what are the recommendations. And if I use my previous example here, maybe what the syarah auditor can recommend here is to have more trainings for the staff on Sharia requirements. Because it seems that the staff did not understand Sharia. When the staff conduct the work, they don't follow Sharia, and the auditor detect that during the audit. And then maybe to enhance, maybe the governance also need to be enhanced. The supervisor, the manager need to also ensure that they have a proper sequence to be done in that transaction and so on. So that be the recommendation during the syarah audit report. Okay, and then the timeline for the rectification. So the auditor may want to give the timeline. This need to be settled in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, etc. Depend on the seriousness of that findings. Okay, and then conclude the state of internal control system and risk management process. So they have to give the conclusion in the report, what the syarah auditor opinion on the state of the internal control of this institution. Whether the internal control is weak, is strong, or maybe just okay for that particular institution. So that's part of this syarah audit process on the reporting. And finally, we have the follow-up. So after the reporting has been done and the findings has been detailed in that report, and also the rectification plan, the recommendation, the enhancement, and then the timeline. So the next process is to do the follow-up to check whether everything has been settled in the given timeline. So when we talk about this follow-up, they have to track the rectification efforts using the syarah non-compliant tracking report. Okay, and then syarah committee also need to also oversee these rectification efforts. So every meeting, syarah committee will also ask the syarah auditor to update what has been done so far with regard to that findings. And then they will also do the follow-up on monthly basis, and also the ratification status will be later settled by the end of that period. So that will be under this particular process, follow-up of syarah audit issues. Okay, so that will complete this 4 process. So we have the planning, we have the execution, we have the reporting, and also the follow-up. And that's not something new to you, because in normal audit also you follow this process. Even financial statement audit, you start with the planning, execution, reporting, follow-up. In internal audit also, performance audit, compliance audit, I think they will still have the same process, but now we are talking about Sharia audit. That's why when, I think for you, you don't have to worry about the term Sharia audit. And as I mentioned to you many times here, that if you can understand the normal audit, then you just need to add Sharia here. And then the criteria will be Sharia requirements, and that will become Sharia audit. And that will make a difference between this Syara audit and also the normal audit. Alright, okay. Okay, in my conclusion, for Syara auditing to be properly conducted, the following issues are crucial. Number one, the resources. Who are qualified to conduct Syara audit? Okay, that's also very important part to be solved, because if the Syara auditor is not competent, then no point of them to do Syara audit. So the first thing to be taken into consideration will be the parties who conduct Syara audit. Who can conduct Syara audit? What are the qualifications of the person who can conduct Syara audit? And I keep mentioning in my presentation that I would expect the person who can do Syara audit to have Sharia knowledge and also auditing techniques. So they know what is not comply, what is comply to Sharia. At the same time, they know how to conduct audit. Number two, the approach. What is the approach to conduct audit? Is it product-based, operation-based, or branch-based? So need to also be settled at the planning stage. How to conduct this audit. Okay. And then the third one, we will have here the procedures. What are the procedures to test for this? Mean that how you going to assess that transaction, whether comply with Sharia or do not comply with Sharia. How many contact that you want to also use later that lead to evidence? How much evidence needed to be certified? Are you going to only check one contract or one agreement, one customer? Or you want to also select few customers and see whether all has some issues or not? And then the last one, we're talking about time and cost. How much time available and cost to be incurred? So this also depend on the resources here. Because if you have good resources here, then maybe you can also manage the time and also the cost. So again, I think all these are interrelated when come to the Syara audit requirements. All right. Okay. So mainly this what I would like to cover in this presentation. So yes, I think I'm nearly 1 minute to 11:30 or 10:30 in Indonesian time. So I think with that, I think I just would like to conclude that in my understanding or in my opinion, for Islamic financial institutions, we will need to have this Syara audit, because Syara audit is very important. Without Syara audit, maybe we are not able to have assurance that the Islamic financial institutions comply with Sharia. So with that, I end my presentation. Yeah, 11:30 on the dot. Thank you very much and Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Noraini, for your precise usement of time.
Yeah, exactly 11:30. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, 75 participant focus of the kuliah from Ibu Noraini. Thank you very much. And before question and answer, I try to share the notes what Ibu Noraini shared before about Syariah audit. I have note 13 points.
Wow, okay. Okay, that's good.
13 points. The first is the definition of audit. From the Arons say about the definition of audit. And the second one is about information or knowledge that Syariah audit is done by internal audit. Okay, and Ibu Noraini say about Syariah Committee. In Indonesia, we have Dewan Pengawas Syariah. Okay. And the third one is about the need for Syariah audit. Because actually, external auditor is focusing only in financial audit. And Syariah Committee only focus on Syariah compliance on product. Okay. And the third, internal audit or internal auditor focusing on internal control and operational only. So because of that, we need Sharia audit for Islamic financial institution. Okay, and for point, we need Sharia governance, the fundamental governance for Islamic financial institutions. And Indonesian as a majority in Muslim very needs for Sharia governance, not only good governance in conventional, but also Sharia governance. And Ibu Noraini say about the established criteria based on the definition of audit. The established criteria of the Sharia audit is ruling by Sharia committee, maybe Sharia resolutions, and all of that in the Sharia requirements as the established criteria. That is the 5th point. And the 6th point is auditor Sharia must know Sharia. Auditor Sharia must know Sharia. And must know conventional or normal audit. And it's better to know about the Arabic and the translations. Okay. And the 7, there are so many Sharia non-compliance risks. Maybe trust problem, loss, regulatory sanctions, etc. That is the Sharia non-compliant risk. And then it's very important that 3 line of defense. 3 line of defense of Sharia function. The first is business unit, the first defense, and Sharia review is the second defense, and Sharia audit is the third defense. They are a group of people for support together end to end. Okay, and the next point is the definition of Sharia audit itself, and the 10 is the scope of Sharia audit, including methodology, plan, kemudian auditor program, and communicating the results for board or Sharia committee or Indonesia Badan Pengawas Syariah to make an opinion. And the scope is about financial statement. The scope of Sharia audit is financial statement, compliance also, and adequacy of governance process. And then the last is the audit process. There are 3 steps or 4 steps: the planning, executions, reporting, and follow-up. Okay, I hope I'm not mistaken to make a notes. Now it's
Actually, I'm touched, Dr. Suryo. I'm touched with you because you managed to cover everything in my presentation. Wow, very good. Maybe very good note taking with you.
Okay.
So touched.
because so very interesting. Ibu Noraini give the explanation so interesting that it is a very amazing for us. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, this is the time for the audience. So many questions, I think, that you will know about the Sharia auditing from Ibu Noraini. Okay, for first part, maybe 3 questions. Please, you can raise your hand and ask. Okay, there is Agung Kike Mutwandi. Okay, directly you can give the questions for Ibu.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Hello, madam. How are you?
Look familiar. You look familiar. How are you? Assalamualaikum, Anggung.
Waalaikumsalam, madam. Actually, I'm very happy today because I was teach you in the 5th semester, if I'm not mistaken, with the subject Agifi.
Yes, you learned this as well. You don't have to be here, Anggung.
Do you remember me?
Yeah, I remember you very well.
Okay, thank you so much, madam. Actually, I have some question, madam. It's okay?
Okay, sure. Yeah, sure.
Actually, I have 3 questions here. The first one is, what is the impact if there is some company that not compliant with Sharia principle, madam?
Okay. You want me to answer first or you want to give all the questions?
I will read all of the questions first.
Okay.
Okay. And the second one is, how can Sharia committee make sure about the job that conducted by Sharia auditor, it is free from mistaken? For example, there are some conflict of interest maybe. And the last one is, how Sharia auditor doing their job related with the substantive test? For example, is there any specific account that should be considered in the Sharia audit? Okay, thank you so much, madam.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'm so happy to see you. I didn't expect that you also here today. Wow,
Yes,
okay.
madam.
Wow, okay, Alhamdulillah. All right, okay, let me answer the first question on the impact of Syarah non-compliant. You are talking about what are the impact, right, to the companies if they are not comply with Sharia. Okay, so the impact actually when come to Islam, for the company, we don't have that really some issue because they don't have to comply with Bank Negara requirements. But when come to Islamic financial institution, the impact is very huge. But again, I think when we have done our proper checking and we have the rectification plan, and I think that is not an issue from Bank Negara perspective because I think we cannot avoid the SNC to also happen. People still make mistakes. So because of that, I think the thing that Bank Negara require the institution to do is to ensure that when they found Syarah non-compliant, they put the rectification plan and they will not repeat that again in the future. But if that one is not followed, then if you remember that, I think because you were my student, so if you should be remember what I mentioned to you last time, in IFSA, Islamic Financial Services Act 2013, they mentioned that penalty is very huge for Syarah non-compliant is 25 million fine or 8 years prison to the board of directors, to the Syarah committee, and also to the management. But that will be only charged if the Syarah non-compliant non-compliant exists and they don't rectify. They let it be just like that and Bank Negara found later. But if there's SNC, when Syarah audit found there's SNC, but there's rectification plan, that is okay. Mean that we will also take note that SNC arise, but then we have the plan to rectify that. So that's what I can answer for your first question. The second question, how Syarah committee can ensure that the job of Syarah auditor is free from any issues, right? From any conflict of interest and so on. I think from the reporting during their job, during that presentation to the Syarah committee, we are able to know whether the Syarah audit is effective or not effective. When they submit to us and they say there's no findings, and as if that everything is perfect, and normally we are not expecting that to happen, so we are normally feel that the Syarah auditor is not effective in conducting the task. So that normally we will ask a lot of questions during that particular presentation as a Syarah committee perspective to know to ensure that Syarah auditor really conduct the job effectively. If Syarah auditor cannot answer our question during that presentation, or if they present some findings, then when we ask something, then they change their findings. They say, okay, I agree with you. That also shows something is not right there because they are not strong in their findings. So what we will expect when they present their finding, they already somehow explain to us what they have done, the methodology, what they have checked, what they have found from the checking. Everything must be in order. I think somehow from Syarah committee perspective, we are able to know whether Syarah auditor has done the job effectively or not. And sometimes we found that this should not be their scope, but they also cover that. In the scope, they should cover something else, but then when they present to us, they cover something else. So I think that's what I can answer at the moment your question, Anggung. And then you have your last question. Can you repeat your last question? I think about the job satisfaction. No, the Syarah audit.
Okay, madam. For the last question is how Syarah auditor doing their job relative substantive tests, for example, checking by item in the account for financial statement, maybe. Is there any specific account that should be considered when they do their job?
Syara auditor normally they have their plan. They already present the plan that being approved by the Syara committee and also audit committee. In the plan, they have mentioned what they want to check in that year, what they want to do, their scope and so on. So I think during that presentation of the audit plan, normally we also will give our opinions, whether the plan is somehow is sufficient or not for them to conduct an effective Syara audit. So after they have that plan, I think they will do the job, okay? And somehow in most of the station, we are just depending on the plan has been done. So if they have somehow performed the task based on what they have planned, and they can prove to us that they have done substantive testing, good assessment, objective assurance, then we somehow can accept their findings. Okay, so that what I can answer. I don't know whether I answer your question or not, but I can only answer from that perspective.
Can I continue, madam?
Sure. I think it's up to the Dr. Soryo. Dr. Soryo allow.
May I continue, sir?
Still any questions?
Maybe I will give the follow-up based on the madam answer.
Okay, please.
Okay, actually for the question number 2, madam.
Okay.
Because based on my understanding that you said before, Syariah Committee did not check it. So I want to know about how can they make sure that the report from the Syariah auditor can be proof the finding. And you said that the consider will be about the explanation explained by Syariah auditor, right?
Yeah, I think you are right, meaning that as a Syariah committee, we don't really do the checking in the ground. We don't do the field work, but we are just based on the job of the Syariah auditor, Syariah review, Syariah risk management. There are 3 functions in the Islamic financial institution that we are really put the hope on them. Syariah audit is one of them. Syariah risk management, also Syariah review. So they have to report to us. And from their report, we are able to confirm that everything is in place. So that only what we can do just based on that at the moment. Okay, so.
Thank you, madam.
All right, thank you. So all the best to you.
Okay, thank you so much, madam.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Agung, from your critical questions. Very, very good. Okay, second questions from the audience. Rahma Dila Amalia, okay. Please share your question for Ibu.
So, good morning, madam.
Good morning.
My name is Rahmadila Malia. So, as a new student for Learn Audit, my question is, can you give me some example of issues that are often happen when carry out Sharia audit and how we avoid that issue?
Can you repeat your question, please, Sister Rashma?
Okay, so as a new student for just Learn Audit,
okay,
so we get a lot of issues in this era. So can you give me some issues that that often happen when carry out Sharia audit and how we avoid that issues, madam?
Okay, if I will try to answer your question. So let me know whether I answer your question or not later. Okay, in my opinion, I think you are referring to perhaps what are the issues normally faced by the Sharia auditors in performing their Sharia audit, is it? The issues on that Sharia auditor itself.
The issue may be on the problem or a challenge as the auditor in Sharia.
Okay. Is it? Yeah, okay. If you're talking about the issues and challenges for Sharia auditor, maybe number 1, they don't get the support from the management. I think that normally also can be a big issue because when they ask for the evidence, when they ask for the information, perhaps the management did not share everything to them. So they are not able to do a good audit based on that limited information. That can also be some of the issues and challenges. The other one, as I mentioned to you earlier, the competency of that Sharia auditor. the skill set what the Sharia auditor should have. So if the Sharia auditor did not have good Sharia knowledge, they are also not able to conduct Sharia audit because they are not able to differentiate whether it's compliant or not compliant. That can be a big challenges for the auditor if they don't have good Sharia knowledge. They don't understand Sharia contract. They don't understand what to be there in that Islamic financial institutions, for example, and they don't also understand the nature of the business in the Sharia based on Sharia requirements. And the other thing also, they have understanding in Sharia, good Sharia background, but they don't understand audit. Mean that they have good Sharia knowledge, they can also argue from the ruling, from the fatwa perspective, but then they don't have auditing techniques to conduct Sharia audit. So when they conduct Sharia audit, I think they are not able to also start with a good plan. They don't select good sample. They don't also check accordingly to that sample, because I think that's also another issue that I normally can see when the person did not have auditing knowledge. They are not able to do good audit. But they have Sharia knowledge. No doubt they are good in Sharia. I think that's very good for that person because they have good in Sharia. But the issue, because they don't have auditing techniques, and that also limit that they don't check according to what we want them to check. I don't know. I hope you know what I meant, because we want them to also follow the auditing procedure when they conduct the Sharia audit. So that's what I can share with you, Sister Rashma, based on that two issues.
Okay, got it, madam.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Suci Nativa, thank you for your question. Okay, that might be the third question from the audience.
Before is Rahmadila.
Okay, okay, please Narira. Okay. Okay, Narira will send the questions.
Sorry, sir. Actually,
Hello?
I haven't asked a question.
The previous question is from Rahmadila, sir, and now from Suci Nadifa.
Oh, Suci Nativa. Okay. Okay. The third question, Suci Nativa, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
So I have two questions here that related each other. The first question is there any audit standard for Sharia audit? And the second question is, if any standard, then who set the standard? Thank you.
Okay, very good question. Very challenging question for me to answer that actually, because at the moment we do not have any auditing standard for Sharia audit yet. Okay, but we are just depending on the internal auditing standards. Because as I mentioned to you earlier, Sharia auditor is done by internal auditors. So what we are assuming, what we are believing now, that the internal auditing standard is still sufficient to cover for Sharia audit. Of course, with the Sharia requirements also in that standard. So that what we have done in the case of Malaysia, we use that under Internal Auditors of Malaysia, IIA-M, and then they have issued the professional framework, international professional framework on the internal auditor requirement. So that also the standard that we use for Sharia audit, including the COSO, whether you have learned the COSO requirement for internal audit. That also part of the thing that we have used when the Sharia auditor conduct Sharia audit. So there's we don't have yet at the moment the Sharia auditing standards, except the requirement by Bank Negara, but the Bank Negara Malaysia also did not issue any Sharia audit framework. Alright.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Suci, for your questions about the audit standard and the standard setter. Okay, that is the first step, first part of the question and answer, and we have still more time, I think. So I open the second part of the question and answer time for two questions. Okay, maybe there are 2 questions for Ibu, please. Okay, any questions more?
All of them are what year now? Dr. Surya, they are final year students or what? All the
What?
students, all the students are final year students or only the year of what year they are in now?
Oh, mix.
Mix, yeah?
Yeah, mix. There are vocational students, there are undergraduate students, international students, and regular students. Ibu.
I see, okay. From the same faculty?
Yes, from accounting.
From
Accounting,
accounting. Wow.
accounting in the level of vocational and the undergraduate. And the undergraduate, there are 2 branches, the international program, like Anggung, and the regular program.
Okay, because I can see many sisters, many girls compared to boys as well. It's like in Malaysia, we have the same also in Malaysia. So many girls as compared to boys, right?
Okay, okay. We still give opportunity for the students. Maybe any questions more?
Sir,
okay.
Someone asking from group chat.
Okay, maybe you can read the questions.
Okay, let me read the question. I have some question. Earlier, I apologize that I could not open the mic because my place was very noisy. My question is, who is user of Sharia audit report? Who is the auditor, internal or external? And is this a mandatory or voluntary? Thank you, sir. Just that, sir.
Okay, Ibu Noraini, there are 1 question from the audience that maybe there are so noise place. The question is, who is the user of Sharia audit report? And this is mandatory or voluntary? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the user of the Sharia audit report is the Islamic financial institution itself lah, because they are auditing that institutions, whether it's Islamic banks or takaful. So the users mainly the entity itself who will benefit from the report because they are able to rectify what are the issues pointed by the Sharia auditors in the report. And who is the auditor, internal or external, is the internal auditors at the moment. But we are also still discussing whether there is a need to have external Sharia auditor. For example, Big Four can also conduct Sharia audit now in the Islamic financial institutions. And at the moment, yes, it's a mandatory because it's a requirement by Central Bank of Malaysia to all the Islamic financial institutions. Only mandatory to Islamic financial institutions, not to companies, not to other institutions. So that's what I can answer from that chat questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Noraini. And last question from me. May I can?
Wow.
maybe I want to your advice from our campus how to improve, how to develop the Sharia audit discipline because we have so many kuliah of audit, and what is the strategy to improve and develop the audit Sharia for the students and lecture? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Suryo. The most difficult question that I received today. Okay, very good question. I can, understand the perspective of your university to also maybe would like to have this kind of subject maybe offered in your curriculum. Okay, I don't know. Maybe to start with, you can also what I would like to say, just add into your existing auditing subjects rather than you introduce a totally one subject on Sharia audit. Because I think in Malaysia also, in my university, International Islamic University Malaysia, we do not have also a subject as Syariah audit. But the student will have to take their auditing subject, the normal auditing subject, audit fundamental, audit assurance, and then they also learn my auditing class, my audit and governance for Islamic financial institutions. So in that audit and governance, we also talk about Syariah audit. And then I will normally expect my student already know the auditing techniques in the auditing classes. Then I just introduce Syariah audit in my class. One of the topic, not as a subject, just one of the topic in my course. So maybe for UMI or for IPAcc, you can also start by doing that, by just introducing the topic in the auditing subject. One of the topic may be Syariah audit. Rather than you have one auditing, one Syariah audit subject. If you have the resources, the time, the credit hours that still need to be added, maybe you can also introduce that later. But for the time being, when teaching auditing, you can also include that discussion, in my opinion. All right.
Thank you very much, Ibu. Actually, we need to more study with Ibu Noraini, but because of the time,
But Dr. Soryo, I'm happy to assist. If you need my help in the future, I'm happy to assist as well for that. I mean, to develop your subject in the topic in your curriculum.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for valuable advice for our Department of Accounting in Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta. Okay, but because of the time, we have to close and back to the moderator. But before I send to the moderator, may I share the closing statement of the webinar. The first is thanks very much to Ibu Noraini for your sharing very, very value-added knowledge. We hope it will be your good deeds and valued as ibadah by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And we hope that Ibu Noraini always health and everything is okay in Malaysia.
Amin.
I hope everything okay in the middle of the pandemic. I hope everything is okay in Malaysia.
Inshallah.
Okay. And I am as a moderator, I'm so much sorry if any mistaken from me. And good luck and greeting from the big family of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta University for Ibu Noraini and IIUM. Very thank you. And we hope we can follow the discuss and study again with Ibu and IIUM in the other opportunities. And please, we close our discussion in this time of opportunity with Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah. And I give back to the moderator. Thank you very much, Ibu.
Okay, thank you. If I may say something, the moderator just in 1 minute, just to say thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for this wonderful session that being given to me. I really honored to be with you today. And I hope that we can meet again in the future in other platform, or maybe but face to face. If the pandemic is okay, then I would love to visit Jogja again, to go to your university, because I was there last time, but I didn't have any contact with UMI at that point of time. I met Dr. Ahyar during that time. I met Dr. Ahyar. Yes, I went to Dr. Ahyar's house. So because he was from our university before. But I would love to go there. Maybe the organizer can have that session next year or the following year. Maybe we have the time when it's okay to visit Indonesia. And again, thank you so much for this invitation. So all the best to all the students. So I think, yeah, you have still a long way to go. So just do your best in your studies and just always remember Allah. Thank you. Stay safe, everybody. Okay, thank you. Thank you, moderator. Thank you, the organizer.
Thank you very much, Ibu. Okay, thank you very
so
much.
Yes. Okay. We will say thank you so much to you also, because you already sharing your knowledge about audit Syariah. Like Dr. Suryo say before, like general audit and financial audit is common for us, but Sharia audit is quite new. For that, thank you. You are such an excellent teacher in auditing sector. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And for Dr. Suryo, thank you for your nice work. You are put all your intention in this general lecture event. Thank you so much for put some notes in this lecturing. And then thank you for all the participants who already joined in this program. I'm as a master of ceremony. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, everyone. You can leave this meeting, Zoom meeting.
Nice meeting you, Anggung. I didn't expect to meet you again.
Yes, madam. Thank you so much for your time, madam.
Okay, all right.
Everyone can leave this Zoom meeting.